Hello fellow YouTubers, Bear Prepper here. Today we're going to make Boston baked beans. And what I've done is I've taken 1 cup of small white and 1 cup of pinto. I've soaked them overnight. Then I've drained off the water and added them to the crock pot with 6 cups of water. Normally I make this in the sun oven, which I plan to do this weekend. But we have no sun, we have rain today, and we're very happy for it. So you put the 6 cups of water and the re-soaked 2 cups of beans in your crock pot for 1 hour. And you would do this in your sun oven, you know, for an hour, hour and a half. It takes a little longer in a sun oven. So you want to wait a little bit longer before you add the rest of the ingredients. And this is, like I said, a food storage meal. Now you're going to add 1/4 cup of dried reconstituted onions, which they've been soaking for about an hour. And it's 1/4 cup of dehydrated, and it equals 1 medium onion. Then we're going to add 3/4 cups of sugar and a tablespoon or 2 of molasses. And we're just going to guesstimate. We need 3/4 cups of ketchup. I have my Catsup that I canned. I'm going to be doing barbecue with it tonight with the beans, so I'm not going to use all of it. Always smell your product before you pour it in. So 3/4 cup. That should be good. And then we need, you can also use 1/2 cup of tomato powder, reconstituted with 3/4 cups of water. We need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I always wait on the salt because it really slows down the beans swelling up. So we're going to move on and we'll get that later. Sometimes I forget the salt because I do it later, but we need 1/2 teaspoon of dry mustard powder. I hate these shakers. Good enough. And we need 1 teaspoon of chili powder. Yeah, I like chili powder. 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper. And minced garlic. Probably about a teaspoon of garlic. Now we're using canned salt pork, and it was canned 2010. Can you see that? 2010. Go ahead and open it. Smells good. Canned just fine. And yes, I'm throwing all the grease and everything in there, because if you were to do your hunk of salt pork, all that grease would have been on it. And it makes wonderful, wonderful beans. Now, I'm going to cook it on high with the lid off for 2 hours. And then I'll be back with you. Boston baked beans with salt pork. Doesn't that look beautiful? They're still hot. Beautiful piece of salt pork. So can you up some salt pork today? Really simple, do it. just like you do any other meat. Put a bay hunk in a pint jar, but I suggest you put just enough in the pint jar that you will use for one meal, and then pressure can it at 75 minutes at your altitude, pressure for your altitude. Blessings.